podcast that you're listening to is being presented to you with the cooperation of the SJ Network. If you're a person who needs a publicist and you want to appear on podcasts, contact Stephen Joyner at s-j-network.com. Let's get on with the show.
Today's interview comes with a warning of excessive laughter. Please be advised that individuals exposed to excessive laughter may suffer symptoms of excessive tears, stomach pain, and the urge to slap one's knee. The creators of Too Many Podcasts wish to advise you that if you are suffering from any of these symptoms, you are perfectly normal. But if you get the urge to create your own podcast, please do not consult with the Sherpa, as this may cause an adverse reaction. And now, on with the show.
Attention, rebels of the Sherpalution. Today's podcast is being sponsored by Audible, the home of audiobooks and podcasts, where there are over 180,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. If you'd like a free audiobook download and 30-day free trial, go to www.audibletrial.com/Sherpa. And now Mr. Bruce will lead you into the Sherpa Chalet. As a reminder, a podcast from this high altitude might make you think the Sherpa is funny.
Welcome to Too Many Podcasts, the podcast about podcasts. Now, podcasting from the Sherpa Chalet on Mount Podcastia, here's your host, Jim, the podcast Sherpa.
That is so correct, Mr. Bruce. Welcome to the Sherpa Chalet, where you can hear this episode of Too Many Podcasts with me, Jim, the podcast Sherpa. Ta-da! Okay, I need some better intro music for that, but ta-da! I made it. Hello. And this, for those of you who have never been here before, is basically an interview show where I get to talk to people from Podcastia with their own shows, and sometimes I speak to people from the entertainment world or any sort of creator on this planet, or even just people with social media presence, or even sometimes people who just walking off the streets and have nothing to do, even sometimes imaginary friends, plates of spaghetti. You know, I don't discriminate. You're all loved here in the Sherpa Chalet. But welcome to the show. So I bet you're wondering, well, Sherpa, who's your guest today?
Who's our guest today, Sherpa?
He is the host of the probably revamped by now podcast called The Cabaret Cafe. And his name is Mark Maloney. And he lives down in Virginia. And we had so much fun talking. I have to tell you, when I was editing this interview, if I would have taken out all the laughing, there wouldn't be an interview. There would be an introduction and the wrapping up of the interview. That's how much laughing there was going on. So if you're not a fan of silliness, then, well, maybe this isn't the episode for you. But let's get to know the guy. He's a lot of fun and very knowledgeable, too. A really big fan of movies, music, TV, all sorts of stuff like that. And I really enjoyed talking with Mark. And I think that's pretty evident once you hear this interview. So let's have a listen to my conversation with Mark Maloney of the Cabaret Cafe. Hello there, Rebels. We are in the entertainment room of the Sherpa Chalet, and my guest is the host and star of the Cabaret Cafe, and life is a cabaret, old chum. And his name is Mark. He is here. He's our guest. Mark, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you very much. Good to be led up the mountain by the Sherpa.
I try. Usually my fleet of 6 goats would readily do that, but I gave them the night off.
But do you ever get tired of the dopey hat in the summer? I mean, Sherpa hat.
Well, you know, I do have a certain flair for the fashion, you know. So the Cabaret Cafe. Now, you, I'm guessing, are probably a big fan of stage and screen.
Yes. It's all about the performing arts. So I have a lot of people who are, I have musicians, writers, screenwriters. I had a poet on. I've had a lot of people have been like the Hollywood types, as you know, and some people who write songs. I've had some good ones, but Yeah, so it's basically, I figure it's like the cabaret. You hear everything from singers and musicians and, C-list celebrities, uh, just all sorts of people who followed their art, younger people, older people. I just love these people who've gone for their dreams or are going for their dreams. And the byline is meet a rising star. And some of them are rising stars. Some of them are setting suns, but they think they've got one a little left in their gas tank. So it's a lot of fun just talking to them in the cabaret.
So how did you get started with all of the podcasting and everything? You said it was originally kind of just a hobby.
Yeah, it was. Geez, how did it go? My wife took a class on starting businesses, and I'd always been interested in entrepreneurs. I'm like, but I don't know what kind of business I'd run. So people say, like, yeah, you have a good voice. Just get out, just get a podcast, and just get out there and see what happens. So that's what I did, and I came up with Cabaret Cafe because I've always liked cabarets and cafes, and I do like the movie Cabaret. But I've always liked live entertainment of any kind and the arts. I've done a little bit on my own, but I've never been really successful. I guess I always toyed at it, improvisational comedy, stand up, community theater, acting. Never been a good singer or can't play an instrument, but admire those who can and artists. So it's always good talking to those kind of people. And it's, like I said, it's kept me sane during the lockdown that I can meet new people from around the world and have these nice, intelligent conversations. And I get to find out what makes them tick, what makes them special. I love when I can get something out of a person that other interviewers can't. And to me, the real home run, and I've had this happen a couple times, is if I talk to someone and they actually realize something about themselves that they've never realized before. And that's a pretty special moment when you get that.
Sure. And I guess sometimes, depending on who the person is, if they do a lot of interviews, they kind of go on autopilot.
Yeah.
So the responses, they're almost out there before you're done asking the question.
Yeah, they're in a story, and you can see their eyes kind of go to the side of the screen, and they're just launching into, okay, well, my agent told me to say this one, and then I had a dog. So always the challenge when you get some of those, and some of these people are doing like 10 interviews a day or whatever amount of interviews a day. So yeah, it's trying to get something else out of them that the last 12 people didn't get out of them that week. Mm-hmm. Something new, something fresh, try to find out what makes them tick, and sometimes just throw them a curveball and pause and see what happens. Then I can edit the long pause out later. So it sounds like it's...
That's right. They're always fast thinkers. Nobody says in the podcast anymore.
And the other thing about editing is I never ask a bad question because I just edit those out when you ask a question and you get a 20-minute, has nothing to do with it, and you're just like, I'm going to cut that. So you just leave the good ones in, right?
I was doing an interview once with somebody, and I got a lot of weird answers from the person. And then I asked them a question, and after I asked them, they responded to it. And I'm thinking to myself, I don't even understand the question that I just asked. You get caught up in it, I guess. You like a rhythm of a conversation, and like, well, now I just babbled like an idiot.
Yeah,
that was getting edited out.
Yeah, start talking about what you had for dinner. Okay, we can cut that later. It's God bless editing.
When you were performing, what do you remember? Like your first public performance, like as you were doing, like you said, acting and improv.
The ones when I started out is I had done some voiceover work and even a little bit of like company television stuff. I really liked when I was in a recording studio doing that. Someone who's not a singer to be in a recording studio. Now, it was down in an interesting neighborhood. The guy, it was great. Yeah, it's not in business anymore, but it was called Snake Oil Records. And, you're going down. I'm like, how can you be in this place? Because there's trucks going by. So I go in and the guy was actually very professional, knew what he did, had toured with bands. And he surrounded me with moving blankets, which are actually make for a great sound studio.
Oh, sure.
And, a good microphone. And we did stuff. And he was good at, producer is in radio is like a director on a movie where they coach you and try to get better stuff. So I just had a ball doing some of those. And I always wanted to get back into that. Improv I did with Comedy Sports, if you've seen those. They're a chain that's around. Of course, now everything with COVID is just shut down, but it's... Right. And doing improv on 8 people on a Zoom call, it's not the same. But that can be a lot of fun. And plus with improv, when you screw up, it's kind of okay. It's just funny. Whereas if you try doing some of these stupid open mic things and, you get the wrong crowd or you go on 22nd or whatever, they can be nightmares. So I don't think the stand-up comedy really wasn't my thing. I like the improv. Used to do a lot of speaking. A couple of times I've spoken to 300 people. One was at a Toastmasters convention. But the favorite speech I ever gave was in Grand Rapids. It was work-related. It was a florist convention. I was working in a job doing sales, floral products, and what have you. So it's Michigan Flower Association. They're in Grand Rapids, which is a fun town. I did not believe it. I love Grand Rapids. And I was booked to speak, to do a motivational speech. And the guy put me on at 8 a.m. Sunday morning, first thing.
Ooh.
And he forgot that Saturday night was the big party and convention. So everybody was up till like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock drinking. I come down to do my big motivational speech. It was 8:30, and there's like 6 people with their eyes not even open, dunking their donuts and shutting their mouth. And I'm just trying to fill the room with energy. And
I guess those are the speeches that you start off with. Who wants coffee?
Yeah. I think I could have thrown $100 bills on the floor and people wouldn't have moved very quickly. So they were just, it's like, okay, you had a lot last night, didn't you? Okay.
Then maybe you whisper the rest.
That's it.
Convention. Let's all sell some flowers.
And who's motivated? Okay, I'll keep it down. You got a hangover.
Who's motivated? Show of hands.
Just nod your head.
Is that too noisy if you nod your head?
Yeah. Oh, man. The energy in the room was just non-existent. There's like a big auditorium and there's like 6 hungover people in it. Better stick in here, right, to a microphone at the booth.
I think at that point, if you've got to be the motivator and you've got 6 people in a huge auditorium and you've got all that energy, you got to go out and do something afterward just to kind of work it out of you, you know? Taking it for you probably was probably the last thing on your mind.
Yeah. If I would have known, I just would have stayed at the party the night before and, got just as drunk as them and no one would have noticed. Oh, man.
You delivered your speech on top of the bar or something like that.
Yeah.
Can I have your attention, please?
I like what I'm doing. I like this. This has been a lot of fun. It's been good for me, keeping me sane.
Sanity is good most of the time.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to let it slide a little bit. So were you a big movie buff growing up or?
Oh, yeah. Big movie, watched tons and tons of UHF stuff and Westerns. Love all the Westerns, the Clint Eastwoods, John Wayne's. I've watched all the Three Stooges, Henry Fonda. I've watched almost all of the classic movies, I think, over the years, and just For some reason, I have a good memory for old movies and pop music of the 60s and 70s. I don't know why. I'm the idiot savant there. So ask me, name a song, any song in the 70s. I'll tell you who did it, when, and what album it was on.
This might be too easy for you, actually. Chicka Boom.
Oh, chicka boom, boom, boom. Boom, chicka boom, chicka boom, boom, boom. Don't you just love it? Chicka boom, don't you just love it? This was a little early for me. I was still in 5th grade when that came out. And
that's an acceptable excuse, Mark.
I remember it in 5th grade, but I didn't remember. I wasn't old enough to buy the record, so.
Okay. You ready for this? Daddy Dewdrop. That was the name of the band.
Oh, okay. Daddy Dewdrop. Yeah, they were a one-hit wonder.
Yes. We can presume that they were anyway.
Yeah. No, they reformed later as the Beatles, and yeah.
And now they're Iron Maiden.
You always gonna wonder with those groups. I haven't interviewed many of the old rock and rollers yet, but those guys. Well, the guy I did the recording with, he had toured with a lot of people heavily over Europe. I tell you, I don't know if I can handle that much dope. I just the travel, the drinking, the drugs. I'm sure it's fun for a while, especially while you're young, and then, what's that like to come off tour? Have no voice left either.
I'm not sure how old you are. You're probably younger than me. You think of the artists that were probably partying really wildly when they were famous when we were young and listening to them. Mm-hmm. And now they're older. They're just, well, let me check on my real estate holdings. That's going to be my busy night after the show.
or like Fleetwood Mac. I don't know if the cocaine took all of their money or not.
That could be.
That could be, yeah. I think some of them just kind of burned holes through their nose. Stevie Nicks and Mick Fleetwood. They're just, okay, I don't need a nose. Do you?
Then they all end up hating each other. Like, well, we fired this guy, then we fired that guy. We hired this guy, and then he fired me. And everybody's suing each other.
Okay, yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's typical. Everybody's suing each other. The band. All of those good groups have broken up. I guess being in a band, though, that's got to be like being married to 4 people.
Sure.
And working with them at the same time. And after a while, you just have to, give me my space. I think it's what happened with Martin and Lois. They're just like, we're doing 7 shows. We're doing 3 shows a night, 7 nights a week. And I just said, D. Martin said, I just hit a point where I'm like, I'm out of here. I can't do this anymore.
And Jerry was like, LG!
Okay.
Come back! Oh, wow! I was leaving.
You do a pretty good Jerry Lewis. I like that.
Yeah, but it's funny, like with these bands, now I know Journey was probably big for both of us. And now you hear like the 2 of the main guys that are still in the band, they get into Twitter wars. And it's like, just stop it. You've been here 75 years old. What are you arguing about? Just play the music and shut up.
I like when the bands tour the real oldies, where it's like the Temptations and it's the grandsons of the Temptations. Three guys with afro wigs and 2 grandsons. It's
and 1 white guy. Where did he come from?
Yeah. So tell me, you go through with the podcast, Sherpa. I'm kind of interested in some of the interesting podcasts you've come across.
I've done a pretty wide variety. I mean, I like going in the entertainment field where you are as well. But I mean, I've spoken to recently a competitive pole dancer. I learned about pole dancing. I've spoken to a midwife. Actually, I've spoken to 2 people who've posed in Playboy. Women.
Yeah, women. And now that was many pounds ago, right?
Well, it's funny because one of the recent interviews, I was saying to my wife, I said, I'm interviewing somebody who was a Playboy playmate. And she's looking at me. I said, she's my age now. Don't worry. That. She's like, oh, okay.
It's all Botox now, baby. I've had a hard time doing this, but I know a few of them, is an acrobat, like a Cirque du Soleil acrobat, contortionist, flying trapeze thing. These people are hard to get on your show.
That would be kind of tricky. I don't know where they, I guess we got to find out where they hang out online.
Where they hang out on, yeah. There were a couple of them then. And the one of them, like they mix pole dancing, and they do it with children's classes. I'm not really sure. They do the performance silks, and there's pole and trapeze and the hoop, where they got the Lyra hoop or whatever, like an old Ziegfeld dancer. Blow Ziegfelds in the house. That's what I should tell people when they're on. Look, if you think you're going to give me a half-assed interview, let me tell you, Blow Ziegfeld's in the house. He's watching this podcast. You got to get on it.
Did you ever have like a dream guest that you would love to have on your podcast?
Well, that's a good question. Okay, you can edit out the long pause here.
I will.
I mean, are we allowed? I would love to channel Ed Sullivan. I think, that was one of my early memories. I just thought he had a great job. Let's bring in the plate spinners. He had the biggest show every Sunday night. He brought in variety. He brought in all different, actors. It was kind of like a cabaret. I think he killed the cabarets. And, and Johnny Carson was a big influence on me as well. If I could interview someone who is alive right now, who is fascinating, who's in the arts, as opposed to Elon Musk, and I'm like, just what are you on, buddy? Let me. How do you like talk people into giving you billions? And he lost 200 million, and he's like, yeah, I'm bankrupt, but everybody's just gonna give me another billion. People like that, amazing. I don't have the chutzpah. I would like to interview, if Elvis was still alive, I'd like Elvis. I would love Clint Eastwood. I'd like to know all the backstory on those Westerns, the spaghetti Westerns, which were not just big for him, but at the time, and I didn't realize it, but Europe was making thousands of spaghetti Western all over Spain and Italy and whatever. They were really popular, these American Western movies. And he became a star of that, and he had started singing in Paint Your Wagon. And he had done so much. And then, of course, the other stuff, all the way up to Unforgiven and Gran Torino. He's just had an incredible career and done directing. And I just think he would just be fascinating to talk about everything that's happened in Hollywood and career-wise. And he could shoot at me too. I mean, I think that would be the best. That would be the finale of the show. He'd just shoot at my feet and make me dance like one of those old Westerns.
You feel lucky, podcaster.
As he throws the cheroot cigar in my face and kicks dirt at me. That's all. I don't think he was part of the reimagined policing thing, though, with the Dirty Harry cop. I don't know if that would play as well today, but it was good entertainment back then, I tell you.
I'm the podcast guest with no name.
That's it. Well, he did a radio show movie called Play Misty for me.
Sure.
You remember that? Yeah. It's hard to picture him as a DJ, but I think he pulled it off. Radio personality, like you said. Feel lucky, punk. Yeah.
Do you want to hear this record? We'll do you.
I'll play it. Go ahead. Make my day. Shooting at people. This was he just has some phenomenal movies that he made and directed. So now I know who I want to get on before he dies, because I don't think he's got long left, does he? Isn't he like 90 or something?
He's got to be close to it. If not his late 80s, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, his movies were from like the late 60s and early 70s, and he was probably, when he was on Rawhide, that was like the early 60s, right?
Easily, yeah, early 60s. And I don't know, Paint Your Wagon. I saw like a still from Paint Your Wagon, and he looked like he was, 16 or 17 or something. He was, but yeah, he goes back to the black and white days. If he's been making movies for 70 years, he can't be that young. I don't know. 60 years. I'd like to interview Bridget Bardot. I think she's kind of lost it now, but maybe about 10, 15 years ago, she was one of my favorites. Still is, beautiful woman. And yet the thing that fascinated about her is she's like average height and sort of average build in a way. She wasn't really huge anywhere, wasn't real tall, but it was like the synergy of everything with her. And now I don't think she was a great actress, but God, she could take a picture. She was photogenic.
I think that was it. Like she probably just had that image that just that probably translated so well on the screen.
Yeah. Yeah, that everybody just wanted pictures of her and wanted everything else with her. She's so beautiful and attractive. And you even look at pictures of her, and it's hard to choose a woman like no matter what she was wearing, how heavily she was dressed, the picture is somehow suggestive. I mean, I can look at it. It's like she's wearing 3 layers of clothes, and people are like, "Oh, that's a shocking picture." She's got a hat on and 3 coats. Okay, it's a shocking thing. That's the look on her face.
Yeah, she's wrapped up like a mummy and she's wearing a winter parka. Suggestive.
Yeah, that would be it. See, I could do like that. No, Claudia Cardinal. I'm really showing my age here, but all of those sort of hot actresses from the '60s. Barbara Eden, people who influenced my puberty years, but.
Isn't it strange though when you talk to like the younger people and they don't know who a lot of these actors and actresses are?
They don't, but oddly enough, they all know 1970s music, which blows me away. Have you noticed that too? When you interview, like you could talk to millennials or some of these, and they're like, "Yeah, what's my favorite?" And they'll name some band from the '70s, and the songs and the lyrics. That's the one thing that really held. And at the time, the '70s music was not considered good. Right. It was considered inferior to the '60s music. And now the '70s music is like eternal. It keeps going on. Yeah, of course, the younger people and at my age, I'm sure I didn't know all of the, Fatty Arbuckle or Charlie Chaplin that well. I mean, these people have like a million channels of everything they're exposed to. Not 3 stations like we had.
With the TV channel thing that would break after about 3 weeks, and then you had to use the pliers to change the channel.
The pliers, and then somebody had to hold the antenna. I mean, that was my childhood.
It's like, why am I holding pliers against a television set? Don't you think I could possibly be electrocuted? No, that won't happen.
Vacuum tubes. Now, if you were rich, you used vice grips instead of just the pliers, and you could leave them there on the knob while you left the room and then come back.
Most of my audience is older, so at least not too many are like, I don't understand what he's talking about. A phone with a wire attached to it? Why does that happen?
So I remember the TVs had the timer you could set so you could fall asleep, and it was like a little wind-up timer. It was not like, it's not digital here.
Oh, no, I really feel old, Mark.
Now you feel old. Now you feel like you're going to wake up and they're going to be playing the Star Spangled Banner on the TV and then just snow. That was...
Well, at least now we've got the benefit of like infomercials at 2:00 in the morning.
There you go. Yeah, we could... There's something on all the time.
Wait a minute, I really need that. It's a mustache vacuum.
Yeah.
Only 3 payments of $29.95, but wait, here's something else.
And the thing is, there are people who watch those and buy whatever. They just get sucked into the latest cubic zirconium rings, and I don't know, and they just buy stuff. And I have a mother-in-law who does that, and then which is kind of good for me because she's like, "Oh yeah, I bought this on QVC. I've never used it. I don't know why I bought it." I'm like, "Okay, I needed a new Vitamix, whatever." I get all sorts of things I couldn't afford before. Another impulse buy, I think she bought an iPad when they came out and didn't use it. Gave it to my daughter, Another $1,000 just for the hell of it.
Well, today's junk is tomorrow's yard sale.
There you go.
Back to the show.
Okay.
Your show. Did you have any favorite episodes so far? Are there any ones that really stand out for you?
Okay, let's see. No, God, none of them. They all sucked. No, well, there was one. I did have a young woman, and she wrote songs, and I did get her to realize some things about herself and why she had a speech impediment when she was younger, and she kind of pieced some things together. It was kind of fun, and she wrote a song. Oh, I just had a guy on, a young guy named Dave Swillam, and he's rebuilding a barn. He's got into a recording studio. He's an audio engineer, and he plays in a band. and makes music. And he was really fascinating. The young person like that, rebuilding a barn, great mind. And of course, the young people, they can always tell you about their tattoos. And I got to tell him my famous hot air balloon story because he had a hot air balloon on his arm tattooed. And I can give you that later. But that was a good one. Dave Swillam. I mean, Maria Requena. I started with the poet, Namita Jain. She did really well on that. I did John D. Hancock, the director. And he was thoughtful and interesting on that. And I'm trying, of course, I should have a list of my shows in front of me to go through. I did Aubrey Logan. She was pretty good. She was sharp. She was one of those young people, up and coming. And the guy who did Last House on the Left, Mark Scheffler, I think it was. He was a character, an old hippie from the 70s. So with the older people, there's a lot of stuff to relive. And with the younger people, they got the energy and newer ideas. And it kind of kills me because they take the technology for granted because it's all they ever knew. As we said, we remember you took a walk there. You didn't have a cell phone with you, right? You just multi-tool. You just walked around. You got lost. You drove around. You got lost. You found your paper map. You got lost.
You actually stopped and talked to people and asked people for directions.
Yeah. Those are the different times. I interviewed Steve Joyner, the publicist, and he was funny. I got him going with some of his stories. Yeah, Jill Whelan, we're on her. She was turned into like a force of nature. She's a really positive person. So I'm always, when you get one of the older people, they can surprise you with how much energy they have or their attitude. And really, I that's what I get is some of the guests and how they've just persevered, whether they're young and making it, because a lot of the people who are young and making it have been at it for 10 years already. Yeah, I guess those are some good ones. I'll be releasing Aubrey Logan in a few weeks. That should be a good one. Under my season 2 of Cabaret Cafe. Rebranded, new logo, new intro, new me. I think I'm just going to go by my own name, but I'm going to change the spelling. It's going to be Mark with 2 Ks. Nobody's done that before. I don't know. I can't do Marks with an X. I mean, that's been taken.
You might think it's a different kind of podcast.
Yeah, really. And now, Cabaret Cafe with Karl Marx. I would kill you, you capitalist singer.
That is the proletariat. People have to stand up now.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I always like the musicians. I always like a lot of the musicians when you say, hey, play something for me, and a lot of them will make something up on the spot. Mm-hmm. And he did it, Chris Wells. So he's this character. He's like, he graduated college with a music degree and couldn't find a job. So he just put up flyers in the old days with his typewriter and put up flyers and started giving guitar lessons and opened his own music school. And then when he was doing real well with that, and then when COVID hit, he just put it on Zoom and kept going. And now he's also business coaching. And I'm like, wow, what's it like for those people who just succeed at whatever? And now he's passing it on. I've never been one of those people. The jack of all trades, master of none. Lack of self-discipline, I guess. I don't know. But I think I found something I enjoy right now.
Sure. It sounds like you're definitely having a lot of fun. Since this is a podcast about podcasts, what are some of the podcasts that you like listening to?
I listen to Smart Passive Income with Pat Flynn. I listen to the Buzzsprout podcast. I listen to a little of the Mad Scientist. As you can tell, I'm in the financial industry. We're always looking to get rich quick, one way or the other. Those are good. I also like, there's a woman on YouTube. It's not a podcast. It's more of a YouTube. She does murder, mystery, and makeup. I don't know if you've heard of this woman.
No.
Her name's Bailey. Okay. Oh, this is great. My daughter turned me on. My daughter's like a freshman in college. And before she went away, I'm like, what are you watching on that? So there's a woman, it's a true crime. And once in a while, I'll like to watch a true crime. But this is classic because It's this woman, and she'll tell something of some horrible crime story, right? That's true. Jeffrey Dahmer, or, some religious cult, Jim Jones, people drinking the Kool-Aid, mass murderer. And what she does is she's putting her makeup on while she does this. So she's like, oh, and a guy's walking down the street with a bag full of human heads. Oh, wow, I put a little too much mascara on there. And it's just hilarious. I watch it. And it's so weird to hear her, because she's a pretty good storyteller, but then she breaks and just, well, I'm really screwing my makeup up today or something. And it just tickles me to watch it, whatever her complaints are. And she's just out. She's uninhibited with that, with her mouth, with unfiltered as she tells these horrible stories. And I end up laughing through them. So, and it's not like she's a supermodel, beautiful. She's a young woman, but nothing, she's complaining about her bad skin as she's covering it up with makeup. Oh, she's a scream, though. It's a scream.
All right, so we have this portion of the show, and it is called Shameless Self-Promotion. So you can let everybody know how they can follow the Cabaret Cafe and get in touch with you.
Shameless self-promotion. Shameless self-promotion.
Shameless. That was a Garth Brooks song, but no. All right. Cabaret Cafe. I'm not going to give you a mixed call to action. You can just find Cabaret Cafe. It is on Apple Podcasts, Google Cast, Spotify, Stitcher, and most of those other major outlets. It's hosted on this little Buzzsprout page, but just look up Cabaret Cafe. And also, if you want to contact me, I would love to hear from you, suggestions on how to make the show better, who you'd want on the show, or really anything, any kind of feedback. You can just email me at speaktoemotion@gmail.com. So the word speak, the word to, T-O, emotion @gmail.com. Give me a call. Give me an email. I don't really want to be hassled with phone calls at 3 a.m. But check out the show, Cabaret Cafe. It's on all the major ones, Spotify, Apple, Google Cast, Stitcher. And just give me an email, speaktoemotion@gmail.com.
Yeah, you don't want those phone calls. Yeah, Mark, I know it's 3 a.m., but could you get man with hat in the middle of the birds? Who is this? Our man, biggest fan. Play Misty for me.
Yeah, I've talked to enough people dealing with their old hard drug stories that I know I don't want them calling me at 4 a.m. That's I can check my emails at noon, right?
His name is Mark, currently with 1K.
That's right, currently.
Of the Cabaret Cafe. Make sure you check out his podcast. Thank you so much for coming on down to the Sherpa Chalet.
Thank you, Sherpa. Thanks, Jim.
Be a rebel. Follow the show at Sherpalution on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook.
And now it's time for Sherpa Suggestions.
So I bet you're wondering, well, Mark hosts the Cabaret Cafe. What other podcasts could possibly be on Mount Podcastia that have the word cafe in it? That's the buzzword. Well, I'll give you a few. There's the Cafe Insider, the Christian Fellowship Cafe, the Possibilities Cafe, the Soul Cafe, the Money Cafe with Kirby and Kohler, the Last Call Cafe, the History Cafe, the Urban Cafe, the 7 p.m. Cafe Podcast, and finally, the Crime Cafe. Just keep everything really close to you for that one, because I think the last time I went there, somebody took my cannoli. Hey, thanks for coming on down and listening to Too Many Podcasts. And a special thanks to Mr. Mark Maloney for spending a little time on the show and just laughing so much laughing on this show. It's an SML episode. I should have put that warning on there. Maybe I'll put it on the show notes. SML episode, so much laughing. And if you want to hear a lot more laughing and just a lot more fun and wonderful interviews with some wonderful people, you can check out my website called Sherpalution.com. And you can also follow me on social media at Sherpalution on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Yep, I'm there everywhere. And don't be afraid to drop me a line at jimthepodcastsherpa@gmail.com if you've got a question or a comment, or maybe you've got a podcast and you'd like to be on the show. Drop me a line. I'd love to hear from you. Let's see what we can work out, all right? I'm not that difficult to get along with. Shh, Mr. Bruce, don't say that. Don't say that. See, this is why we don't have you say anything until the outro. Oh, and anyway, yes. So I'm very easy to work with. So until next time, folks, Viva la Sherpalution. Have a wonderful week. Keep on listening. And we'll see you next time. Bye, Rebels.
Thanks for listening to Too Many Podcasts. Please disperse. You can go home now. I said you can go home now. Viva la Sherpalution. Viva la Sherpalution. Oh. Yell, come back now, you hear?